There has been so many conspiracy theories surrounding around pop culture recently. Let's talk about it. The first thing I want to talk about is that there is definitely something undeniably off about Justin Bieber right now, and fans all over the internet have definitely noticed. So Justin recently has been posting very erratic, cryptic, and honestly sometimes just disturbing things on Instagram. He just feels very all over the place. He has been seen in public and looks kind of ill. A lot of people think that Justin is just falling apart, and it's honestly really sad to watch. A lot of people assume that it could be drugs, but you can just tell that this guy is definitely struggling here, and I don't know what it is, but it's really sad to watch. Over the past few months, he's really been posting a lot on social media, and he's posting really weird like selfies. He looks like very like honestly vacant, like detached behind the eyes, and sometimes his pupils are super dilated or his eyes are very glassy. He just like looks like he hasn't slept, and he's posted also very kind of depressing undertone cryptic captions, and like genuinely his Instagram kind of just looks like a cry for help. But like there have just been so many strange things that he's been posting. It's really depressing to see. Now a lot of people seem to think that this has to do with the fact that Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco are engaged. I kind of don't think that that's true. I honestly think Justin has been struggling for a very long time. If anything, I think maybe it is more related to the trauma that he faced as a child, potentially surrounding P. Diddy, because they were obviously good friends when Justin was literally like 16 years old, which is obviously concerning now that we know everything that we know about Diddy. But obviously I will say it's pretty heavily theorized that, you know, in 2018, Justin and Selena got back together, and a lot of people think that Justin proposed to Selena and she said no, and that's why he 2 months later proposed to Hailey. Again, I'm not even saying that I necessarily think that's true. I think because the same week that Selena and Benny got engaged, it felt like Justin was like really spiraling on social media. A lot of people think that his like marriage to Hailey was really just a business arrangement slash honestly arranged marriage. He's said it multiple times.
I think it was an arranged marriage, I'm pretty sure. I'm not looking back now, I'm like, it was definitely an arranged marriage. Like, they set this whole thing up.
We talked about the whole concept of Hailey Bieber stalking Justin long term, which was like kind of true regardless. Like, she obviously was a fan of him before. I mean, obviously she ended up like, you know, becoming friends with a bunch of celebrities, and her father's a celebrity, so you know that obviously had her meet Justin in a more organic way, and possibly maybe they fell in love. I don't know. I'm not them. But what I will say is the fact that Justin and Selena were dating again in 2018, and then 2 months later he proposes to Hailey. Like, I think everyone thinks that's suspicious and weird. So I don't know. I personally don't really think that this rough patch that Justin is going through has to necessarily do with Selena. I genuinely think it has to do with his childhood trauma, especially in regards to P. Diddy. The P. Diddy trial is coming up next month, and I just feel like obviously if something happened while he was either in Diddy's care or by Diddy or whatever the case may be, I just think that like all of this stuff coming out about P. Diddy would obviously bring up some negative emotions for anyone if this were to directly affect them, and I do believe that this directly did affect Justin. So I don't know if I necessarily believe the theory that he's like upset that Benny Blanco and Selena Gomez are getting, you know, married, but I will say he did like a photo on accident of them on Instagram and then like unliked it. So it's interesting, like maybe that's contributing to it, but I honestly do feel like it's a deeper rooted issue here. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I just feel like one thing is pretty clear is that Justin's like kind of not okay right now, and maybe he hasn't been for a long time. Maybe this is something deeper, and I want to hear what you guys think about the stuff that he's been posting on social media. Do you think he's completely fine? I mean, a lot of his like people around him are saying he's completely fine, but like, I don't know. I just feel like when you look at his social media and like his Instagram specifically, it does not feel like it's someone who's well right now. But I want to hear your thoughts. All right, the next theory I want to talk about has to do with Kim Kardashian's ties to Balenciaga. I think that this is such an interesting concept that I don't feel like people talk that much about, because in late 2022, literally Balenciaga had one of the biggest scandals that has ever happened in a fashion, like from a brand, I think, where they basically had this campaign, I'm sure you've heard of it and seen it, of that featured children holding teddy bears that were like in bondage harnesses. And almost immediately, like, the internet spiraled with this. Like, that's just disturbing to have children involved in that campaign. I don't know who the hell greenlit that. Like, honestly, you have to think about the amount of people that had to greenlight that particular campaign. Like, there was photographers on set, there was photo editors, there was, it's just like, when I think about it, it honestly just, it feels insane, because I'm like, I don't know how people didn't think that that would be received very poorly. But nonetheless, a lot of people immediately started disassociating with Balenciaga, like a lot of their celebrity endorsements, except for Kim Kardashian, which has always confused me, because Kim Kardashian has very much like presented herself, and I don't think that because of this that she's necessarily a bad mother, but like she has presented herself as like always putting her children first, and like I do believe that she does to an extent, but like how can you see a brand do this and still continue to want to work with them? Like, that has always rubbed me the wrong way about Kim Kardashian. Okay, so let's take it back a little bit. So in November of 2022, this was when Balenciaga released the ad campaign for their Toy Stories collection. And again, it featured small children in hyper stylized high fashion setting, except for the props weren't just like toys and handbags, that they were holding literal teddy bears with leather harnesses and fishnets. And also one photo even included a picture of a document in the background from a real Supreme Court case, United States versus Williams in 2008, which specifically dealt with child photos laws and free speech limitations. Again, it's just disturbing that they decided to mix in the idea of like sex and violence with children. I just feel like, again, I don't understand how so many people greenlit this campaign, honestly. But the public outrage was very quick. It was obviously disgusted. Boycotting happened. Like, I feel like even still to this day, Balenciaga people wouldn't buy it anymore. But I think the person who really people were looking at here was Kim Kardashian, because she is like one of the biggest celebrity ambassadors of the brand. So at the time, Kim Kardashian was also fresh off like her Paris Fashion Week appearance, and she literally walked in the Balenciaga like couture show and posted dozens of stories and posts like glamorizing the brand. So when the controversy came out, obviously her fans expected her to say literally anything, but she stayed silent for several days, and then finally, under pressure, she wrote, quote, "I've been quiet for the past few days, not because I haven't been disgusted or outraged, but because I wanted the opportunity to speak to the team at Balenciaga to understand myself how this could have happened." And then she went on to say she was reevaluating her relationship with the brand, but obviously we now know a few weeks later she was just back to wearing Balenciaga. And I don't know why this bothers me so much. I feel like something about it is just so icky. Because here's the thing, Kim Kardashian doesn't really need this Balenciaga sponsorship, like ambassadorship, you know what I mean? Like, she makes a shit ton of money, she would be just fine. And I just find it hard to believe, and honestly, maybe this is because people in Hollywood are better actors than you expect, even when they're literally not actors. I just don't understand how a mother could justify taking money from a brand like Balenciaga. But that's kind of where the conspiracy theory goes into effect here. Like, there's a lot of questions as to why she didn't distance herself from the brand, and there's a lot of theories as to why that is. My issue here with this whole Balenciaga thing in general is that clearly this scandal was not a simple oversight. Like, it wasn't a creative misstep. It was clearly like deliberate what they did, and I don't understand how people are not like pointing out about that more, especially with everything that we know going on with P. Diddy, with everything that happened with Jeffrey Epstein, and the fact that Kim is refusing to cut ties to this brand is an indicator to me that she may be part of or know about this elite network of people who are behind this campaign, people who do these terrible things, and she just doesn't care. I don't know how that's like physically possible. Again, why would a creative team include a real document about child exploitation unless it was intentional? Like, there's no two ways about the fact that that was intentional, allegedly. And I just feel like it makes no sense to me that every celebrity wasn't just automatically like, fuck that brand, you know? I just think like to not acknowledge the fact that there's clearly something going on here in Hollywood that's dark, or even darker than we would expect is kind of ignorant, just because, again, this is such a, like, obviously bad thing on Balenciaga's part. Like, there's no way about it. It was a clear message that they were trying to send, and it's disturbing as fuck, obviously. It makes no sense to me why any celebrity would still want to be a part of this brand and, like, you know, associated with them. And the fact that Kim Kardashian is still to this day associated with them, it's weird. Like, is she, you know, just playing this game because she wants money and doesn't care about what's going on? Or is she being controlled? Is she being forced to do these things because that's, like, part of a deeper picture? And that's, like, the question I kind of don't know. I think there's clearly a lot of manipulation and darkness within the industry, but it just makes you wonder, like, who's really in control? Like, do I think Kim Kardashian is really in control of, like, kind of anything? No. So it's just, like, what do they have on her or her family that she needs to keep working with this brand? Because to me, it doesn't make sense for it to just be money. And unless she's involved with the same nefarious things, which is a possibility, I just think that they have to be, like, literally threatening her. I don't know. Why would you want to be a part of that? I don't know. It's so fucking weird to me, and I feel like not enough people are talking about it. I know this happened a couple years ago, but, like, we can't just forget that. Alright, the next conspiracy theory is a bit on a lighter note, and it's about Sabrina Carpenter's sudden rise to fame and why people think it's all part of a PR master plan. So, Sabrina Carpenter, literally everywhere right now. She opened for Taylor Swift on the Eras tour, and that was when, like, when things really started to pop off. She's absolutely topping the charts. Her tour is insane, like, doing very, very well. It's kind of actually nuts that some of the tour prices are so expensive. I'm like, girl. But there's a lot of conspiracy theories that Sabrina Carpenter's kind of rise to fame and global takeover was actually perfectly calculated, and I do agree with this 100%. I do think that people, you know, obviously Sabrina was on a Disney Channel show. I do think people find stars and kind of breed them into what they're, like, a version of themselves that would be the most profitable. I don't think this is, like, any new concept, but I do genuinely think that Sabrina Carpenter is, like, the perfect example of this. So I think the entire driver's license scandal was honestly to launch not just Sabrina Carpenter, but also Olivia Rodrigo into an insane amount of fame. And it did that. Like, it literally did that. Because if you think about it, Olivia Rodrigo and Joshua Bassett dated for, like, 5 minutes. And then, like, she writes a song that goes absolutely viral about this, like, other blonde girl, and it's obviously Sabrina Carpenter, and that goes viral. So many, like, conspiracy theories and thoughts behind it. It was just absolutely perfectly messy and viral. It was just kind of the perfect PR storm. And Sabrina suddenly went to being, like, that girl from Girl Meets World to literally a major pop star seemingly overnight. Like, it kind of happened at the same time very slowly, because obviously she's been doing music for a while since her Disney days, but then all of a sudden it was like, bam, like, she's the biggest fucking pop star on the planet right now. I also think it's interesting that, like, shortly after the drama, Sabrina kind of reemerged with a totally new aesthetic. It was very, like, glam, mini skirts, pop princess energy. Like, she was a perfect little package, like a positive sex symbol for the girlies. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't feel like her music or her vibes are really for the boys. Like, it's the girls and the gays, you know? I also think the conspiracy theory that Taylor Swift had Sabrina Carpenter on tour with her for the Eras tour was to purposely launch her fame, because Taylor Swift wanted to be shady towards Olivia Rodrigo because they were not friends anymore. When Deja Vu came out, Taylor Swift kind of demanded writing credits on Olivia Rodrigo's song because of the similarities between Deja Vu and Cruel Summer, which I'll never understand because the songs sound actually nothing alike to me. I don't understand, and this obviously really upset Olivia Rodrigo. She used to be a huge Taylor Swift fan, and honestly, like, Taylor Swift seemed to be, like, taking her under her wing. It's just weird to me that Taylor Swift at her grown age was like, I'm gonna attack this, like, 19-year-olds, like, you know what I mean? And, like, while Taylor didn't, like, do anything publicly, it's kind of shady shit happening behind the scenes. So that happened, and then all of a sudden she's going on tour with, like, Olivia Rodrigo's notorious, like, feud. I don't know. I think it's calculated. I honestly do. Like, I think Sabrina's fame in general was, like, packaged and, you know, sold and perfect for, like, her record label. Like, wanted her to be this, like, little pop star that's, like, says, like, sexually explicit things, but is, like, a cute girl with, like, cute mini skirts and a vibe. Like, she just is, like, a perfect little package to display, but I think Taylor Swift personally choosing her to open the Eras tour is just definitely shade towards Olivia Rodrigo. I've always felt like that. I always have. I also think that Sabrina and Barry Keoghan's relationship is one of the most PR relationships I've ever seen in my life. To me, that made like literally no sense. Like they were always seen together like very curated in public. Him starring in the music video, I just feel like whenever you have like that public of a relationship, there is always usually something going on like deeper than that, and for this I honestly think it was a publicity stunt completely. I've always felt like that, and it kind of makes sense because I feel like this celebrity like showmance really got Sabrina in the headlines, introduced her to the film crowd, and just kind of like made them both desirable as brands, like together and apart. I just think that Sabrina was like such a perfect pop star product, and as soon as people like kind of stopped talking about her as much, like the hype died down a little bit, but right before her tour, her and Barry Keoghan had this big public breakup where like she literally wrote a song that was like, please don't embarrass me, and then he did. Come on, it has to be PR. It just does. And honestly, it worked. And I love Sabrina. I've loved her music since before she popped off, honestly. So, P. Diddy, let's talk about his connection with Jennifer Lopez and kind of like the rumored and conspiracy sacrifice that launched her career. So, J-Lo actually has a pretty huge connection to Diddy. Diddy and Jennifer Lopez were dating in 1999. So, on December 27th of 1999, Diddy and J-Lo were partying at Club New York in Manhattan when a fight broke out. And during the chaos, someone pulled out a gun and opened fire. 3 people were injured. The scene was absolutely chaotic. Screams, glass shattering, people rushing to exit. But what was strange is what happened after. This was huge in the tabloids, but police pulled over the couple's SUV just a couple blocks away, and inside was a loaded 9mm gun hidden in the vehicle's trunk, and Diddy was arrested on weapon charges, and Jennifer Lopez was also arrested, but she was quickly released and cleared of any wrongdoing. Diddy was eventually acquitted after a high-profile trial in 2001, while his then protege rapper Shine took the fall and served nearly 10 years in prison. But here's where things get interesting. So a lot of people talk about how this kind of absolutely tanked Shine's career. This brought Diddy's reputation into question, but obviously his career was also fine. But J-Lo walked away from this scandal more famous than ever. Like, honestly, kind of nuts. And you don't think that she was like aware that something was happening? I don't know. So when the shooting happened, Jennifer Lopez was like definitely known, like she was famous, but not quite as much as she is today, obviously. She had just recently released her debut album in 1999. She was definitely on the rise, but again, not a household name. But after the incident, she was absolutely everywhere. Magazine covers, morning shows, red carpets, interview specials with how she survived that night. Like this, she really leaned into this new image, and this image that made her kind of relatable, street smart, and basically like unshakably calm during such a crisis. She was portrayed as this glamorous starlet who narrowly avoided tragedy, and the public loved this shit. They ate it up. And that's when people started wondering, the conspiracy theory is, did J-Lo's team use this moment to reframe her entire career? And a lot of people who believe in Illuminati sacrifices believe that this event was a sacrifice that catapulted her from a rising star to an iconic figure. And I think it's kind of an interesting theory. Obviously, when P. Diddy is involved, he was one of the most powerful people in the industry. Clearly, he was able to keep everything that he was doing secret for such a long time, even though so many fucking people were involved. I don't even want to think about how he was able to keep that secret for so long, but whatever. We've talked about it before, and we'll talk about it again because the trial is coming up. But either way, he launched so many different careers. He controlled the charts. He had serious reach in the hip-hop and pop circles. And obviously now he's rumored to be involved with a lot of secret elite networks that not only manipulate fame and fortune behind closed doors, but are also, you know, taking things to a much darker side and using like sexual exploitation in return for like making someone's career, essentially. So people wonder if this entire like nightclub shooting wasn't just like this bad luck thing that happened and J-Lo and P. Diddy happened to be there, but it was more so orchestrated to kind of launch J-Lo into success. I don't know if I think that's necessarily true that it was planned that way, but I think they definitely profited off of it that way, if that makes sense. But then again, there's so much dark shit going on with Hollywood. I don't even know at this point. I do think regardless of what you believe when it comes to like the Illuminati and Hollywood, you have to admit that there is definitely something darker going on. And a lot of people think that it's like this kind of eyes wide shut style parties that are happening in the Hollywood Hills. And I 100% believe this, especially with knowing what we know about Diddy and his freak-offs. Like, there's no way that this isn't happening way more frequently. The fact that Diddy and Epstein were going on doing this stuff for such a long time without getting caught, it makes you wonder what even more powerful people in Hollywood are doing, because obviously, like, P. Diddy is not the most famous person in the world, not the most famous producer, not even the most famous rapper or anything. So, like, I'm very curious to see what higher up people are doing, and it's actually kind of dark to think about and definitely disturbing. It makes a lot of people wonder that what's actually happening at these Hollywood parties. Is it just like crazy sex parties where people are doing a ton of drugs, or is it something darker like what was happening with P. Diddy? And honestly, I hate to believe the latter is true, but I do, because clearly there is just something really disturbing here. And the fact that this, you know, Diddy went for so long untouched, and obviously, you don't just like randomly fall into these nefarious acts. He'd been doing them for a very long time without getting caught. It's concerning, to say the least. Anyway, that is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of these pop culture conspiracy theories. But that is it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, and subscribe for new videos every week. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.